Good morning, YouTube friends. I'm trying to get the best way to sit here without the light blinding everyone. So I am here to finally show you guys how I'm using my bullet journal for NaNoWriMo. I do have another video where I walked you guys through my bullet journal from 2 years ago when I wrote Pages of Ava, and some of you guys wanted to see this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take you in. It is not complete. It is merely started, really. This is basically everything in my head, a place for me to come and get inspired, but also just capture all of my thoughts about my nano novel, which I'm so excited about. It just keeps evolving. So without any more rambling from me, let me go ahead and take you guys inside. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. Before I get started, this is a Leuchtturm 1917, I believe that's how you say it. I have the dotted grid, the dotted Leuchtturm, and I'm using one of my favorite pens. My daughter actually got this for me. If you've watched my nano vlogs from a couple years ago, I was using a pen in that, and I don't know what happened. It just went missing. And I was complaining about it, rewatching those videos about a year ago, and so she bought me a new one. So this is the Lamy Safari, and I mean, I'm obsessed with fountain pens. So that's what I use to both plan and write out my novels. So we are gonna dive in. I do not have the index filled out yet. The reason I love the Leuchtturm journals is that they're already numbered. The pages are already numbered, so I don't have to do that. Now, as you can see, this is numbered 25. So I did tear pages out. You guys know, if you've been watching any of my journaling or planning videos, that's like an issue of mine. I tend to tear things out. But you know what? No rules, right? Okay. I always start my bullet journal with a list of ideas of pages I want, sections I want in my journal. I also do not work just front to back. I work front to back. I work from the actual back. There's already pages you can see that have different sections already formed. There's some in the middle. All right, so I'm gonna go in a little closer. Hopefully you'll be able to see and not get super dizzy with the way I'm holding the camera. All right, so ideas for the bullet journal. Then I have this little exercise that was in the Preptober book by Natalia Lee. I loved this exercise. Now, it wasn't exactly this, but she has you list your favorite books and movies and things like that, and then try to connect the dots. So I have listed some of my favorite books and then different elements that kind of connect them. Like I said, this is kind of how I start, just getting inspired. Why do I want to do nano? The things I'm looking forward to this year, the plan for nano, Curiouser and Curiouser. These are some of my questions that I like to start with. And yes, they're personal, but they also spark ideas for my novel. So as an example, I want to explore all of these things: meditation and prayer, book of shadows, tarot cards, fitness, food, and yoga. Like, these are just things that came up, and some of these are going to make their way into my fiction. And so I get to not only explore them, but I get to also write a novel about them. Imaginary lives. This is a big part of my novel in regards to the spirits. There's a hashtag right now, Preptober, and there are prompts that she gives you every day. I scribbled down some of them that interested me, and I'll be referring to this if I get stuck, just to kind of help inspire. And I was going to write them all, and then I just put visit the hashtag if I need a little break or inspiration. Yes, my handwriting is messy, but that's just kind of who I am. This is Billy Collins' masterclass. Me and my daughter took it since we're writing poetry this year, and just some of my notes on his masterclass. Other poets that I want to study. So like I said, this is literally like a bunch of lists Prompts if you have no idea what to write. And at the beginning, I had no idea when I decided I was going to do Nano. So this was also by the Right Now author, which is asthebirdfliesblog.com. That's where that came from. The books that live within me, just getting things out of my head so it won't clutter up the story is kind of what this helps me do. Preptober videos, other video ideas, YouTube, people that I find super inspiring, YouTube. This is for prepping. This is for Nano. Books that inspire me that I can refer to. Books that I want to read for the first time that I've heard are super inspiring. Magical realism authors, because I'm obsessed and my novel is magical realism genre. So having that there to explore was something that I wanted to do. These are movies. These are writerly movies that I want to watch during Preptober or Nano just to help get me in the mood for writing. I'll read some of these. Some of these I don't know that you guys might not be aware of. Not Another Happy Ending, Words and Pictures. If you guys have not seen Words and Pictures, that's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's basically the debate between which is words or art more important. It's so good. Secret Window, Stranger Than Fiction, Midnight in Paris, Ruby Sparks, 5 to 7, Love, Orange County, Adaptation, Mr. Holmes, Nim's Island, Jane Austen Book Club, and The Rewrite. Some of these are about books, not writing, but I found it applicable. And then I have some spiritual-ish, magical realism type things, movies that I would like to watch that would also inspire me specifically for my novel. So this is kind of like a book of inspiration. People to inspire me to visit when I need inspiration, other inspirations, writing prompts that my daughter and I are going to attempt to do. So writing under a tree, writing in a car, writing while watching a movie, a scary movie, early in the morning, late at night, at the dinner table, in pencil and pen and crayon and marker, in the bathtub, at a park, at a coffee shop, in the middle of a storm, in a loud environment, in a hotel room, in a waiting room, at a mall, the front porch, the back deck, just different little things that we can check off. We are doing poetry together. Poetry is a part of my novel. So I thought this would be fun to try to write poems in these different environments. I have writing rewards for my kids and I as we've got specifically a certain amount of poems that we're doing. My son is still trying to decide if he's going to participate and if so, what he's going to write. Then I created a morning and evening routine, and I have here create a daily ideal day tracker, which I did. Where is it? Right there. And I'm still kind of working on it. A daily routine page just for inspiration and to reference. My list of things I need to finish before NaNoWriMo, and that's where I have my first bookmark here. Tools for the journey, tips for channeling my characters. I liked this idea when I did Pages of Ava. And so in here I have dress up like them, choose a token or charm for each, journal as though I'm them, write a letter to them or from them, buy them a gift, create a list of things for each character, a list of what their Instagram would look like. And so I really like this because I ultimately have 4 main characters. So this is going to be helpful when I'm trying to channel them. Pen testing, favorite first lines. As you can see, I have not filled that page out yet. Scripting my persona. This is a exercise that Billy Collins has you do, but I was also taking notes on Paulo Coelho. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. And he mentions it on creating your legend. And so that was a fun little prompt to work on. As you can see, I also have glued pages together. I don't know if that one's supposed to be. No. Notes from Mary Oliver. I was studying her as a poet. Becca C. Smith. These are notes on her outlining. Kate Kavanaugh. I do a very similar zero drafting process, as I mentioned in one of my videos recently on Nano. And so I rewatched that just to get inspired. The snowflake method, the different parts of that. Okay, and then I have a bunch of empty pages till you come to like the middle. Yep, okay. I have snacks for the journey, some healthy snacks during Nano. Patreon ideas and other distractions. This is basically, I was thinking a lot about Patreon, so I just threw it in here, and that way it's out of my head and I can return to it later. This is a prompt that I believe was on Right Now Preptober. A reader passes my story to her friend and says, ... So I want to fill that out. I loved doing this. How does my story make people feel? How do I want to feel while writing it? After it's over, how do I want to feel? And how can I make it happen? Then I have scene ideas. I'm very big into this. I created, this is kind of how I do I don't really outline much, but this is basically the one thing I do follow that I have done with all of my novels that I've written, actually. I start with a question, and then my character begins with a question, and then, you travel up the triangle, and that's the journey that she must travel to find the answer. Then there's the struggle, the debate, feeling all the feelings, and a decision is needed to be made. So it's kind of like, roller coaster, you're traveling up, and then you're zooming down with all your doubts and everything, and then you find your truth and are forever changed. And then, just like everything, there's always another question. Not necessarily with the story, but in life, it's the triangle. And so that's kind of how I use I start with this, and then throw out scenes that kind of help form everything in the middle. This is an Imaginary Lives, my spirits mind map. And then you saw my daily routine. Then we go to Violetta and the Three Spirits. We get a little deeper into my actual novel. So I love to print out photos of if someone were to play this in a movie, who would I choose to have them be portrayed by? And one of my spirits is a writer, and I love the movie. Oh my gosh, it just like left me. It was there and then it's gone. I love the movie with her and Will Ferrell in it, Stranger Than Fiction. There it is. And so I've used her as inspiration for one of my spirits. And then I just take notes. She's a curator of books, a collector of books. She lives simple and is seduced by simplicity. She's a minimalist. And I just kind of she always wears overalls. That's why I drew overalls on this picture, because I just love that for that one spirit's character. And yeah, so there's one. And then I have She the Yogi, and I have images of what her house would look like and her style, and one of the inspirational people that I would love to play her if she were a movie. And then I have She the Guide, and this was actually, she's no longer alive, but she was one of my sweet, sweet life coaches that I worked with. And so she is the inspiration for this spirit that's in this book. And so I have a picture of her to inspire me, a picture of her place that we used to meet at for our sessions, and just notes all about her. Then I have my channeling. So to channel the writer, wear overalls, take a self-portrait of her writing, write some poetry in pocket notebooks, declutter my space because she's a minimalist. So I have all of that. And then I have not answered the what would her Insta look like, but these are for me to come back to and dive deeper into. And the interesting thing is, the deeper I dive into these, the other ideas come up and form this story I'm trying to tell. How to channel the yogi, how to channel the guide. I have notes on tarot readings. And a homework assignment is going to be in my novel, so I have a little section for that. Then I have Violetta, who is my main character, and I was just going through Heartbreathings. She's on YouTube, Heartbreathings, and her
I think it's heartbreathingsblog.com is her website. And she has an outlining, which I don't really outline, but I do love her. You can print out her plot outline, and she has videos, and my favorite one is about the characters. And so I love listening to that and taking notes, trying to go through what her inner and outer journey is and how she starts and how she ends. So these are my notes on that video and notes on Violetta, my character. Then there's empty pages till we get to the back. And I have the Beautifully Chaotic Journey. This is a section for me to put my prayer for this book. And this is just a basic cover that I did on Canva and printed out. It is also the cover that I'm using for my Nano profile, Violetta and the Three Spirits. So this is where I'll write my prayer for this book. And then I have my trackers. So this is for the poetry tracking. My daughter and I are doing 3 poems a day. So I will do 3 check marks on each of the days that I do 3 poems. If I only do 1, there'll be 1 check mark, and so on. Then I have vlogging every day. So I will check mark it or cross it off every day that I vlog, because I do plan on putting them together and posting once a week. The journey, I loved doing that a couple years ago, and so that is the plan again this year. Weekly goals. This I also found helpful a couple years ago when I did the Pages of Ava and that bullet journal, just to write down what my ideal goal for that week is for NaNoWriMo, and like my word count, the places I want my novel to go, like the scenes that I wanted to write. And so that's for that. And then I have daily update pages, and I have enough space for all 30 days. And this is basically how I felt about my writing and why. So I enjoyed having that in my last bullet journal, and so I put that in here again. Other thoughts. So this is just other ideas or thoughts that I have on the process. This also came from Heartbreathings on YouTube. She has a printable. I guess it was 2 years ago that I did Pages of Ava. I actually wrote out my goals. I had like my day, I had my ideal word count, like how many I wanted to get that day, and then I had my actual total. I love this because you can check off the days or check off the 1,000. So I think each of these, it goes up to 50,000. So you have a place to check off where you're at, but she has a whole video about this. I will post it down below, and this is a free printable. I love that on here, you can write what your daily total was at the top, and then where you are totally, like the total amount in the bottom. And this is your ideal. It's already there, like where you should be. If you were to divide up all the writing you have to do per day. So on day 1, 1667 is, if you're wanting to get to a 50,000 word novel and divide it upon the days, that's where you should be. So I love this because I don't know if you guys remember, but in my vlogs for last year, I always had a hard time figuring out how much did I actually do today. And I was like flipping through my journal. So this will make it easy because I can have the daily total and then where I'm at underneath. And it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. Oh yeah, here we go. Heartbreathings.com is where you can find that. But she is also a big inspiration here on YouTube. So definitely check her out. I'll put her video about this down below. Then this came from Natalia Lee's Preptober workbook. I tore it out and put it in, I didn't tear it out. I printed it out and put it in here because I do love doing word sprints, and this is a way to track them. For me, I like longer word sprints, so I give myself 30 minutes or an hour, and being able to track how much I got during that time was very helpful for me. Okay, then I have the very back. Let's see here. This is pre-writing thoughts for the next day's writing goals. Okay, so I'm a big fan of the book 2,000 to 10,000, I believe is the title. And one of the things they have you do is to write down what you're about to write. Like not everything, but a brief paragraph before you start your writing session, what you're going to write about. And that helped me so much in my word count. So this is either going to be, you know, before I go to bed, this is what I want to write about the next day. And then before I actually sit down to write, I will start with a little paragraph, about what I want to write about in that day or that session. And so I've left pages to be able to do that every day. Then I have this, I was going to put my sprints here, so I will actually probably glue these two sheets together because I do that. Because I'm using Natalia Lee's spread instead. Cover artist ideas if I were ever to publish it, but as I've mentioned, I am pursuing publication for the poetry collection that's going to come out of it. So these are just some artist ideas. I use independent artists for all of my poetry collections, and so those are some that I'm interested in. Formatting and editors, a list for those. Poetry titles or prompts that I've already started collecting for the journey, just to have a place to begin. And then something I love that I highly recommend everyone doing, I have a section for my favorite quotes from this novel. So as you're writing in your Nano project, if you write something that you're like, oh, I love that, put it somewhere else, whether it be on your phone or on a separate sheet of paper, because those, got interrupted. They really end up being special. So I highly recommend keep track of them as you're writing, the things that you say that are just your favorites. So I have a section for that to go here. And then I have what's called my sweet spot, just for notes on my favorite things about the novel and where it's taking me. I'll share more about the sweet spots at a later time because I can do a whole video on that and what that is. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tour. If you have a Nano bullet journal, I would love to see it. Post in the comments your video if you do make one. I would love to see what you have in your inspiration book bullet journal. All right, until next time.